On a warm Saturday afternoon in Riverton, a peaceful town with quiet streets and golden sunlight, Malik Jalen, an 18-year-old young man full of energy and dreams, walked into a luxury jewelry store. Malik's story wasn't just about finding a beautiful gift for his sister, but also a journey of perseverance and sacrifice. For months, he had been working extra hours at a coffee shop, saving every penny with one sole purpose in mind: to buy a meaningful birthday present for his sister. The silver charm bracelet displayed in the glass case at Belmont Jewelers had caught Malik's attention the first time he saw it. This gift wasn't just jewelry. It was a symbol of love and the bond between siblings. Surely, when Alia received this gift, the joy and surprise in her eyes would be the most rewarding moment for Malik. Months of hard work, saving every dime from long hours of labor, had led Malik to this moment. But no one could have predicted that, in this very instant, his dream would be interrupted by unwarranted suspicion. Margaret Whitmore, the saleswoman, looked at him with a gaze full of distrust, as if he didn't belong there, as if he wasn't worthy of owning such a gift. And just a small accident, the bracelet falling to the floor, turned that suspicion into an accusation, leading to an unforeseen situation Malik would never forget. Malik's story marked the beginning of a struggle not just for a gift, but for dignity, fairness, and self-respect. After the bracelet accidentally slipped from Malik's hand and fell to the floor, Margaret Whitmore didn't hesitate. Her anger erupted immediately, not because of the bracelet falling, but because of something invisible that had taken root in her heart: prejudice. "I know what you're doing," she said, her voice dripping with self-assurance, as though everything she thought was an undeniable truth. Curious glances from other customers in the store focused on Malik, as though he were a criminal caught in the act. Malik stood there quietly, the lump in his throat growing. He hadn't done anything wrong. He was just a teenager trying to bring joy to his sister. But in this moment, he became the target of suspicion and judgment. His hands clenched, but he didn't dare move. Not daring to resist, he knew that any wrong move could make things worse. As Margaret called the police, Malik felt an undercurrent pass through him. The sound of approaching sirens filled the air, growing louder, signaling an unavoidable confrontation. He stood still, but inside, the sense of injustice grew stronger. Why was it him? He was just a young man, undeserving of such treatment. But Malik didn't know that. In those tense moments, he wasn't alone. A powerful mother was on her way, and his life would change in a way he never expected. Simone Carter, Malik's mother, held the key to freeing her son, and when she stepped into the store, everything would change. A few minutes after Margaret's call ended, the atmosphere in the Belmont Jewelers store grew thick with tension. The police had been called, and the air became heavier with each passing second. Customers in the store began to move cautiously, their gazes shifting toward Malik, no longer with curiosity, but with an unmistakable concern. Those eyes weren't looking for the truth, but for agreement in what Margaret had said. Malik stood frozen, feeling his heart race. Every step the officers outside took seemed to push him into an unfair battle. He felt their gaze, not with fairness or humanity, but with pre-decided judgment. All he wanted was a chance to speak the truth, but he knew he didn't have the right. Everything had been decided before he even had a chance to speak. But then, when the door opened, a tall, powerful figure entered. Simone Carter, Malik's mother, walked in like a storm, and an inevitable shift occurred. Her dark, glossy hair, the navy blue tailored suit, and her stiletto heels left a powerful impression that no one could ignore. Simone entered, and her presence caused the room to stop breathing. She wasn't just a regular mother, she was the FBI director. Someone who had spent her career fighting against injustice and discrimination. Her words rang like an order, irrefutable. "I'm Simone Carter, FBI director, and this is my son." Just one sentence, but it was enough to change everything. The eyes of the officers and customers in the store were all drawn to her, captivated by the undeniable power of truth and authority. In an instant, everything they thought was wrong began to unravel. The room fell into a suffocating silence as Simone Carter approached. her gaze sharp as a blade, not allowing anyone in the room to escape her attention. Every eye in the store was now focused on her, as if a storm had just passed through. The tension was so thick that everyone felt as though everything was about to change in that very moment. Simone didn't need to speak much. Her gaze said it all. When she turned to the officers, her voice was calm, yet unshakable. "Sergeant Blake, I hope you can explain to me why my son is handcuffed without even being asked about the incident." Her words were sharp, cutting through the walls of contempt and prejudice. Officer Blake stood still, his lips pressed tight, his eyes filled with confusion. Simone continued, every word like a razor slicing through the ignorance of those in the room. "I think I'm clear now. Right, you come here, see a black boy, and immediately decide he's a criminal without any reason or evidence. Everything about him was decided before he even spoke. That's the truth, right?" Margaret's face began to show signs of confusion, and the words she had spoken no longer held any power. Simone didn't need to shout or point fingers. Her look did everything. Simone turned her gaze back to Margaret, her voice icy as she spoke. "So, can you explain why my son and I are standing here when you have no reasonable grounds for your suspicion?" Simone walked toward the security screen, her eyes never leaving Margaret, while the officers began to realize they had been pushed into an impossible situation. Everyone's eyes were glued to the screen as the security footage began to play. Each moment was displayed, showing every movement Malik made, every light touch on the bracelet, and then the accidental drop to the floor. It was all there, undeniable, no theft, just a 17-year-old boy trying to buy a perfect gift for his sister. However, the truth held no value in Margaret Whitmore's eyes. She stood there, as if the evidence before her couldn't shake her belief. She remained stubborn, lips tight, eyes full of self-satisfaction. Everything about this boy was wrong. She had decided that the moment he entered the store. And now, with the truth laid bare, she couldn't bear the exposure. Simone Carter didn't give her a chance to justify herself. She looked at Margaret one last time, her eyes cold as ice, yet razor sharp. "Margaret, you decided my son was a criminal before he spoke a word. And now, with the truth proven, what more do you want?" Simone's voice was not loud, but each word struck like a punch. The silence in the room grew thicker as everyone realized they had witnessed an uncompromising battle between justice and injustice. With the truth clear, Simone didn't need to do anything more. She turned silently, walking with pride, every step exuding an inner strength that nothing could shake. Her son, Jalen, stood by her side, not feeling joy despite the victory. Instead, he felt an overwhelming weariness. All he wanted was peace. But this battle never seemed to end. As Jalen and his mother walked out of the store, the atmosphere remained heavy, as if nothing could erase the tension that had just occurred. He looked at Margaret's figure retreating, silent, without a word of apology, only pride fading into silence. Though she didn't admit her mistake, the truth had come to light. The whole store, from customers to employees, was silent, as if an unexpected light had illuminated the darkness, revealing the true nature of things that had long been buried. Jalen felt the exhaustion in every step his mother took. Though she had won this fight, the victory wasn't complete. He felt a strange sadness thinking about the others in the store. Those who had stood by and watched a boy being oppressed, judged without speaking up. He sighed, took a deep breath, as if to chase away the suffocating feeling that still clung to him. Simone looked at Jalen, her expression softening slightly. She placed a hand on his shoulder, gently but firmly. "You don't have to prove anything," she said, her voice full of love. "We never have to prove our worth to those who don't understand us." Jalen looked at his mother, those words like a small flame lighting up his soul. Despite the injustices in the world, he realized that the most important thing was to hold on to his belief in himself, in the value of truth. "I won't let them define me anymore," Jalen whispered, but deep inside, he had made a new resolve, a strength no one could break. The next day, news of the incident at Belmont Jewelers spread quickly across the media. People spoke out loudly, from social activists to everyday citizens. all expressing outrage and indignation. The entire community witnessed a fight for justice, where stories of racism and social prejudice were no longer forgotten. Jalen, though he had proven his innocence, still couldn't escape the haunting exhaustion. Those around him, especially the customers in the store, couldn't understand the pain he had endured, the invisible stories he had to face every day. The feeling of being judged and evaluated because of his skin color wasn't something Jalen could easily erase from his mind. But one thing he had learned throughout this journey was, not everyone around him could be changed. But he could change how he faced them. Looking at his mother, Jalen deeply felt the strength and resolve she had passed on to him. Simone was not just a mother, but a relentless fighter for justice, for what was right. She had shown him that fairness didn't always come instantly, but if we persist and stand firm, the truth would always win in the end. The long road ahead would still be filled with challenges, but Jalen knew that he couldn't let anyone define him the way they wanted. Every person has the right to be loved, respected, and to assert their value. The most important thing, as his mother had taught him, is never to lose faith in oneself and never let injustice diminish one's self-respect. The lesson Jalen learned today wasn't just about winning a personal battle, but a powerful message for all generations. Don't let social prejudices and baseless words make you doubt yourself. Stand firm, protect the truth, and keep fighting for justice. Only when we face the greatest challenges can we open up a brighter future for ourselves and those around us.